Welcome in, family. I'm Tenitra Batiste. This is Jarvis Davis, and we are back. We are back. We are back at our usual time, Tuesday, 4 Eastern, for Fill in the Blanks. We appreciate you for joining us, hanging with us. And of course, Jarvis, they can hang with us all over the place these days, right? At Facebook, YouTube, and just
Everywhere.
streaming platforms everywhere. So, how you doing
Yeah,
today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Like I said, we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. What is Anchor, Jarvis? Go to anchor.fm and you can find out. You can look at
You
our
can find.
profile there. You can get access to all our old episodes, and so you can catch up, kind of bring you up to speed. So when we reference something from in the past, you won't be lost. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely go ahead and check that out. But T, I am doing very well today. The weather is what it is, and you
yeah,
know, it's a Tuesday, and we're back on the Fill in the Blanks podcast. So, what can I
yeah.
complain about in this world?
Yeah, nothing to complain about, especially when you get a dub. You look, how you get a dub is how you get a dub, right?
Indeed.
So the fact that the Hawks got the dub last night, let's just start there. That put a smile. Well, first it put a, oh my God, did that just happen on my face? And then
Hmm.
it put a smile on my face. And let me tell you, I ran that last playback 3, 4 times because I couldn't believe that I saw what I saw. Of course, Hawks had an opportunity to take on the Wizards and kind of, one of the two back-to-backs, but they do get a break today. They go back at them on Wednesday night. But yeah, they'd already beaten them a couple of about a month or two ago. So this at least gives the Hawks the assurance of a win of a series. And you might say, well, why is that a big deal? Because right about now, 4 games, now 3 games left in the season, everyone counts. These head-to-head matchups, they count. Everything counts in terms of the Hawks trying to fight their way into the postseason outright, right, Jarvis, and not just get into it from a play-in perspective. And that 125-124 win, albeit a shaky last-second shot on the part of Russell Westbrook, maybe trying to play a little hero ball there, but and trying to make sure that
Trying.
he topped off, make sure he topped off his historic night with a game-winning three, but it was not to be. For once, the ball kind of bounced in the Hawks' favor, and they got the dub. And their 38th, Jarvis, I can't believe I'm saying this, 38th win of the season.
Wow, closing in on that 40 games.
I
They're two
know.
they're 2 wins away from winning 40 games. Who saw
Yeah.
that coming when Lloyd Pierce was fired and they were in ninth place in the Eastern Conference? So and now they're playing for have to be the home team, that number fourth
Yes.
seed. They're making a good
Yes.
push for that. So that's the one thing that definitely was encouraging to see them. It was you would have liked it for them to, finish the game out and win by
Yeah.
15 to 20 points, but
Right.
a sign of
Or
a
the
good
19 they
team.
were leading by.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the signs of a good team and the type of team that you're going to have to be when you get into the playoffs is when the shots stop falling. That's
Yeah.
one thing that I thought was a downfall in the Lloyd Pierce era was that
Hmm.
when the shots stop falling, what do you do? How do you regroup your team? How do you get them together and say, "Hey, Trey, stop taking them bombs. Hey,
Yeah.
let's get into the pick and roll. Hey, let's
Yeah.
start running bogey off the curl.
Hmm.
Let's see what John Collins can do in the pick and roll, and
Yeah.
let's kind of switch it up between you and Capella." So just starting to think outside the box. Once things start to go awry, and that's one of the things that I was encouraged by, to see them be able to make those necessary adjustments, call those timeouts, and that's one thing Nate has been a mastermind at
Yes.
doing since he took over.
Absolutely. And on the defensive side of the ball, them realizing when those shots aren't falling, we still need to get stops. And even when the
Yes.
shots are falling, get stops. But there were a couple key stops. And what I liked about those key stops that I saw last night, it was the unlikely hero. It wasn't necessarily in those waning moments, Clint Capella or even John Collins. I saw Kevin Herter with active hands out there, and that to
Yes.
me was impressive. And he's been like that for a couple months. He's one of those, you and I talk about it all the time. Who are those other players that have benefited exponentially from how Nate McMillan has been able to use them? And he's one of them. He's one of them. Or even Bogdan Bogdanovic getting out there and being a win defender and at least contesting the shot. Those are the things I saw in those waning minutes, to your point, that before March 2nd just didn't see consistently enough. And that's why even if you escaped with a 125, 124 win, you can at least look back at that third quarter and say, but wait a minute, we held Russell Westbrook and company to 17 points.
Yes.
And when and I know I'm going to destroy his name, but when Hakamura starts, just throwing, like just heaving up three after three after three, you finally get him on one miss, and then it's another miss, and then it's another miss.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing, until these shots start falling again, let me do two things. Let me, number one, at least contest their shots. And let me also, number two, try to get to the free throw line. That's why, it's good to see when Trae Young is 12 of 12 from the charity stripe, because that tells me, okay, if I can't get my shot to fall on the outside, which I believe he was 1 of 7 from 3 last night, just not a good night from the perimeter for him. That tells me that he says, okay, well, I'm going to be aggressive in the paint and let me see if I can bring the game to me another way, or if I can kick it out, like you said, to a Bogdanovich, or switch up who is actually running the pick and roll so that they can actually take advantage of them being the hot hand, with Bogey having 25 and JC getting 28 points. So yeah, I like that. And I know that you and I, even in 14 minutes with 6 points and 3 rebounds, the story of the night, the best part of the night was DeAndre Hunter. Best part.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. Because when you think about what the Hawks are going to need, and I think you bring up a great point, and they're going to need stops. There isn't anyone, you can't find anyone that is a NBA analyst, a beat writer, or just a average Joe fan that's going to complain about the Hawks scoring points. You won't find that. You won't find it from me. I'm sure you won't say anything like that, but you will find somebody to complain about, hey, when they need a stop, like who's going to be that person? We know Clint Capella is that guy down low. When Clint Capella is on playing defensively, teams better be very, very aware of where 15 is. No problem at all. But I think the thing that is going to be the catalyst for them in the playoffs, if they're going to get out of this first round, is going to be who's going to be that guy to defend on the perimeter. And like you said, with DeAndre Hunter coming back last night, that is
you saw it.
So you saw it. He was lining up on Russell Westbrook, saying, "Hey, man, you better come on with it." And that's why I was encouraged, being able to see him come back last night, because he was like immediately going to the best guy on the offensive squad. Like, who's the best? Who's the best guy? Is it Jason Tatum? All right, cool. I'll take him.
I'll take him.
All right. Is it Julius Randle? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, where is he? Like, because we know
there it is.
We know more than likely they're going to face off against the Knicks, and we know what Julius Randle did the last time the Hawks faced off against. They were up in the Madison Square Garden, so it wasn't pretty. So I think that DeAndre Hunter is going to be a guy that you can throw at that bear score, because especially when Randle is starting to feel it from outside, and that's what's encouraging about this team going forward for me.
Yeah, and if you can get just a little bit, hopefully, out of Tony Snell coming back, if you can get a little bit out of Chris Dunn as well from a defensive perspective, just another big body, and someone who has quietly come up in these last several weeks and giving the Hawks just another body, but not just a body for the sake of the physicality of it, but somebody who's out there really being strategic, especially with Lou Williams helping him to perfect how he runs the pick and roll, is Onyeka Okongwu. We're starting to get something out of him. Hawks are starting to get something out of him, Jarvis, and that's also very encouraging. So as you see these guys come back and they're healthy, and as you see guys, the role players, the bench players taking a step up when needed, this is what you want. You want them at full strength. They got 3 more games to hopefully make some inroads, about a half game back from the Knicks. You got the Wizards tomorrow. You got Magic, and then you've got the Rockets to wrap it up on Sunday. So we shall see. But yeah, a lot of excitement about what's going on over at State Farm Arena with these final 4 home games, 3 home games of the season. And we got something encouraging going on at Truist Park. Man, it has been an up and down season for the Braves. We would see shades
to say the least.
The 3-time. Right. I'm being kind about it.
Right.
But we would see shades of the 3-time division champion, right? Or the 3-time straight division champion, and we get encouraged, right? And then all of a sudden, you would see a series like the one against the Blue Jays, and you're saying, wow, 26 runs, and you can't produce any offense, or not enough offense, if you will. And of course you can. I mean, a 26 run onslaught, kind of tough. And then on top of that, Jarvis, then you see, I mean, nice success, good success against the Cubs. But then you see that game one of the Phillies series, and you're thinking to yourself, oh no. Oh wow, we're falling back to the median. It's that version of the Braves. But Jarvis, just like you were saying as we were getting ready in pre-production, game 2 and game 3 of that Phillies series started slowly but surely showing you the type of metal that you can get on a consistent basis when you have someone like Oscar Ynoa giving it to you on the mound, at the plate. When you have Freddie Freeman coming back to being his consistent self, getting especially in that finale game, getting 3 hits and one of them being a home run. But to your point earlier, just a little more consistency from the bullpen, and then the Braves going out and saying, okay, we recognize that now that maybe Shane Green's compromising a little bit in terms of what he's looking for as far as his salary goes. Maybe we can meet in the middle and get some extra help for this bullpen.
It was a big help when you're talking about getting a guy like that based off of what he gave you last year, 1.5 million. And of course, it's prorated given how far they are into the season. So it's going to average out probably maybe like 1.1, 1.2 million. That's a steal on a 1-year deal. That's exactly the type of deal that the Braves like to get. Cheap and short term.
Yeah.
That's their mantra. If you can have a mantra from the Liberty Media, short term and and straight to the point and value. They love to find value, and shout out to Alex Anthopoulos being able to work under those terms, or those what's he's been given. Like here's all of what he's been given. Here's what he has to work with, and he's been doing that. I think he's been maximizing that, and I think that you get that right-handed to come out of the bullpen is what they've been needing, and it's now it's just a matter of getting a little bit more considered. Getting a little bit more consistency from their lineup, and you definitely want to start with Freddie Freeman because we all know that he is the key cog in this thing. I know Ronald Acuna, nephew Ronnie, what he brings to the table, that's a whole different conversation. But in order for this team to get where it wants to be, and these aren't my words. These words came out of the mouth preseason before anybody.
Right.
They're talking about winning a World Series. That's what they are trying to do. They want to be able to finish the deal. They were very close last year against the eventual champions in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Even they're struggling right now. But I think that when you have a guy like Freddie Freeman, like you said, mentioned, he hit the home run, to win the series against the Phillies, who seemed like they had the Braves number. And, that first game of the series with Charlie Morton giving up. Good Lord. It's just really good to see them pull it out in the 12 inning game on Saturday. That was absolutely amazing. That's what we're used to seeing, right? That's what we saw last year. No lead was safe with these guys because they're so productive offensively, all throughout the lineup. And you have Austin Riley doing his thing. He's starting to come around. And even the guys that, like I said, that short-term, cheap value guys, Adrianza, when he's stepping in for Ronald Acuna, when he got hit by the pitch, and thank God that, there was no structural damage.
That was a scary moment, I think.
That
a collective gasp in Atlanta Metro.
Right. And then for Adrianza to come in and go 3 for 3 and hit the, drive in the game-winning run and the walk-off in the 12th inning, like those are the type of things that you need when stuff like that happens. And to have guys that come in and step in, and of course the Panda Bear, can't forget about him.
Yeah,
he's the reason why they went extra innings. Pablo Sandoval, he's the truth. He's the real deal. I think he had 4 pinch hit home runs this year.
Yes, so crazy.
And that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So it's just a lot of good things that came out over the weekend when it comes to the Braves, and I'm truly excited. I try not to get too excited because you know how I am about this squad, man. This is the first love when you come to sports teams, and being from Atlanta, and that's just how it is when it comes to me. But so I try not to get too excited, but I am excited.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I feel like that as well. You know me, I am an adopted Braves fan because that's all we saw growing up in Louisiana.
Right.
So certainly,
Really have a
you know,
choice. Come
yeah,
on into the
exactly.
family.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, hey, look, I don't have a choice here. And I like this family because the Braves, they're fun to watch, and even though they give you a heart attack or they take you to the brink
Oh,
more
yeah.
often than not, they definitely are worth their weight in salt. And there were a couple things that you said that I wanted to touch on. So I want to go back to the Braves. Don't want to forget about some of the guys who are also pitching in and stepping up big. But I also wanted to touch on something that you said in the importance of having that cog in the wheel. And even though you might have your secondary guy, it's like the cog in the wheel. So as he goes, so goes the team. So like you said, Ronald Acuna, no question. That is your superstar. That is your current MVP candidate for the National League. He is dynamic. We're on the 40-40 watch from day one of this season. Take nothing away from nephew. But it's Freddie Freeman. As Freddie goes, so goes his team. He is that heart and soul, if you will. And it really made me think about the heart and soul of some of our other local teams and just how excited this entire Atlanta metro area was when Joseph Martinez hit that goal. When he scored that goal, it did. And yes, it matters that that Inter Miami was able to equalize and United ultimately got the draw. But the takeaway from it was what that was, the spark that gave and the encouragement that gave to that team. And so when you were talking about Freddie Freeman, it made me think about Joseph Martinez. It made me think about Trae Young when he went down a couple weeks ago. There was a collective gasp like, no, like as good as DeAndre is, and we want him back, as masterful as Clint Capella has been, as much of a cog as JC has been, and a surprise for Bogdan and Danilo, no, Trae gonna be all right. So
if Trae doesn't go, this team doesn't go. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many points Luke can put up, filling in, or Brandon Goodwin coming in and trying to fill in. I don't care how decent those guys have been in filling spots, and specifically Brandon Goodwin. It does not matter. This team goes as Trae Young goes because
and you have that.
You have
that person on each and every one of our teams here locally, although one of our teams is kind of going through a transformation of who that person is going to be for them. So I'd love to maybe kind of talk about that a little bit. But when you said that about Freddie, it really made me think about Joseph Martinez, and it made me think about Trae Young, and it even made me think about, well, who will that guy potentially be for the Falcons this fall? But before we go Falcons, I wanted to wrap up with a little Braves talk in addition to the individuals that you mentioned, and Austin Riley stepping up and really, really honing and kind of crafting his game into what we thought it could be and not being so predictable at the plate. Also giving us what we thought we were going to get from him in the outfield. William Contreras and what he's doing in subbing in for Travis d'Arnaud. When Travis d'Arnaud went down, with the way he was masterfully calling games this entire season and the way he was also effective at the plate, for him to go down with what we know is going to keep him, at least on the IL for 60 days and take him deep into this season, to see someone like William Contreras step to the plate the way he has, Pablo Sandoval even saying, oh, you think his brother Wilson is good, like Williams, that dude. To me, that's also very encouraging to talk about depth, if you will, at other positions. So liking what I'm seeing out of William Contreras as well. That's exciting. And we shall see what these Braves do now that they're starting this series tonight against the Blue Jays. Hopefully it'll be a reverse of what we saw against the Blue Jays just about a week and a half ago. And wow, they've got a good look, Jarvis, because they've got 10 home games in the next 13 days. So that should also kind of build some momentum for them. But Falcons, we got some things, some things brewing and cooking up in Flowery Branch. Of course, we know that rookie mini camp is kicking off. So that's an exciting thing to see those 29 players, those, 9 drafted and the 20 undrafted free agents, or, whomever can step to the plate. Obviously, some may have some school obligations and may not come immediately, but ultimately rookie minicamp is kicking off. And of course, we know that the Falcons schedule, along with all NFL schedules, will be confirmed tomorrow. We know the teams, but the actual schedule is going to be coming out tomorrow night. So we're seeing football and talk about what's going on at Flowery Branch starting to pick up.
Yeah, that's cool, and it's gonna be cool to get eyes on these rookies and figure out what these
Yes.
guys are going to look like with black and red uniforms. I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
excited about to see what Kyle Pitts look like in person, and
Hmm.
what that 8 looks like on a 6'5", 240, 6'5", 240-pound man, at tight
Right.
end. So with rocking the single digits, so that's going to be cool to see. I'm interested to see a guy like Frank Darby, what he looks like, because we already
Hmm.
know what he is off the field. He's a personality. He's a guy that has a lot of energy. And the thing about this is that we've heard a lot of that. I will speak for what I've seen on the field. The guy can play some
Hmm.
football. I saw him
Yeah.
down in Mobile, down in Senior Bowl. And by the way, and this was something that I wanted to bring it up too in regards to that. So, the Falcons drafted 9 guys, and
Hmm.
4
Hmm.
of them came from the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And my mind started turning and thinking about, like, why is that? Because it was a lot of guys that were drafted from the Senior Bowl. Not to say that
Hmm.
it wasn't in the past, but I think that the fact that guys were some of the brass, because a lot of times, some of the general managers and stuff aren't able to go out to these, college games or
Right.
whatever. And
Hmm.
given that dealing with COVID and all that stuff, I
Yeah.
think for people to be able to go to a place with the head coach there, the general manager being there, and several of their top scouts being there,
Hmm.
all in the same room, looking at this guy, I was like, "Whoa, look at this guy!
Yeah.
You can possibly get this guy in the fourth or fifth round. This is the
Yeah.
guy that can
Yeah.
come in and be a rotational guy for us, or this guy can come in and
Hmm.
be a solid special teams guy and contribute on offense as
Hmm.
well." So it's got my mind to thinking, like, that was kind of like the easy go-to as far as a solution to not being able to go out and go all and travel like you would normally would. and
Right.
and I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing for the Falcons to that they dipped in that pot several times, like I
Hmm.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be able to get these guys into the Flowery Branch to see what they do and what they're capable of. And if you find these guys, all 4 of these guys contributed to the
Hmm.
team, hey, kudos to the Falcons for getting a chance to really get their own set of eyes on these college prospects.
Yeah, because when you look at the fact that players opted out or seasons were compressed, if you
Yeah.
will, that
Or some
those
didn't play at
things.
all. Yeah.
Exactly. So
The
with the opt
HBCUs,
out, with
yeah.
those who right, with those who opted out and with those who opted in but maybe had a compressed schedule, that really limited the amount of scouting that teams were able to do. And then you look at a virtual combine, you take away the regional combines, and really the pro days, I mean, they're good, but obviously they're going to be set up with very specific drills, if you will, that are catering to that respective player. But a Senior Bowl is a game. Like
Yes.
that's a game.
Live game action.
That
Yes.
is a live game. Those are live practices. Those are situations where you get to see those coaches say to somebody like a Richie Grant, okay, we want to see you play at corner and safety. Let's see how you do. Or a
Yes.
Jalen Mayfield,
Great point.
for somebody like a Richie Grant, I was reading, you and I were preparing for our debrief on the show because by
Mm.
the time the show came on, pretty much we'd gotten through 6 rounds of the NFL draft. So there we were kind of looking at those composite grades, so to speak, those initial grades that were coming out and some of the feedback. And one of the things, to your point, that I kept seeing, for example, about Richie Grant was what scouts and what coaches and analysts, what everybody was seeing out there at that Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
That came up consistently. So, yeah, it definitely is a place, to your point, where you got your eyes on some players in advance, and a lot of scouts and a lot of pundits were able to get their eyes on players that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. And a lot of draft capital was built for some of those players at that Senior Bowl. So, yeah, now you're fast forwarding. And this will be the opportunity to kind of see, okay, what you saw at some of
Mm.
those Senior Bowls, will it matter? And I know, like you said, you're excited about Darby. I am excited. I'm always excited about the O-line. That's me, because they're cerebral. To me, they're the most cerebral
Yeah.
players on the field. So I always like to
Hey,
peer
hey, hey,
into their,
hey,
yeah, I like to see, yeah, where are their heads. So I am
hey.
interested. And then if we're real about it, taking nothing away from the D-line challenges that the Falcons have had, but the roller coaster, the switch out and switch in, the mix and match that has been the O-line for the last several years with the Falcons, you want to see a Jalen Mayfield come in and basically say, hey, I can play all five
on the
positions.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
On the
exactly.
spot.
You can say, you can say, look, I can play all five positions. I will play all five positions wherever I think I have the most opportunity to be a starter. I'm going after that. I'm coming for you. I think that's good, healthy competition for Matt Hennessy or even a Caleb McGarry, however that plays out. So I really am going to be interested in something that you and I, if we and some of the beat reporters around here are able to do, if we're able to get a little bit more access to really see throughout the camp some of those position battles that maybe because of the virtual situation last year and the like, maybe we didn't get to see as much of it. I'm very intrigued by that position battle across the O-line. Oh, those position battles really across the O-line, some spots.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. And like you said, Friday, that's where it starts. That's where it's going to start. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, they're just out in shorts. It's the reason why they got these guys out here, man. Like there's so many ways you can evaluate players, even when they don't really have pads on like that. So it is anytime you're out on the field, you can evaluate players, you know, and just from an outsider's perspective, you can kind of see how guys move, see how guys interact with their teammates. If they make a mistake, what do they look like on the next play? Do they forget about it? Do they dwell on it? Do they mess up again? I think all of those things are reasons why they bring these guys into camp like this. Not too long after they draft, like, okay, what we saw, was it for real? When we put you in a situation where you might not know all the plays. I'm sure they sent you a playbook probably the next day after you got drafted. But what did you do? Did you look at it? Did you sit it down and say, hey, I'll check this thing out later on? Or you say, hey, man, let me do a deep dive because I ain't got nothing else to do anyway. So let's go figure out what's going on with this playbook. So it is so many ways that you can evaluate these guys and not have to know their whole playbook and know what exact plays they're working on. So, like I said, it's going to be some very interesting things. Like you said, you mentioned Jalen Mayfield, and can he come in and take over that left guard spot? I don't care if y'all doggone y'all have Matt Hennessy or what's my guys? He had the second round tender. I can't think of his name. Name escapes me right now. Matt Gono. Yeah, Matt Gono.
And I was like, Gono, because I always want to call it.
You know, those are the type of things that I love to see. I love to see the competition and see a guy wanting to come in and take somebody's spot. That's what it's all about. You know, because he was drafted in the third round for a reason. So if he doesn't do that, that's when I start to question the pick. Because third round pick is not a throwaway pick. It was a throwaway when they drafted Deidre Sanai, but no, not with this regime. I'm assuming I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until they change my mind. So
and you don't want to see that again because you already have a situation. And again, this is looking across the board. This isn't necessarily calling out a position, but you already have a situation last year where you're looking at Marlon Davidson and you're still wondering what you're going to get out of him. Not because he's not capable, but you do not know what his body is going to do. You just did not get to see the body of work. So you are more careful. But then on the flip side, I give a lot of credit to something that I know I looked at. I think you looked at it as well last season, but I saw it. I know I asked questions about it and there was agreement. And then there were actually two of them. On defense, it was AJ Terrell for me. It was very noticeable early on, like he might make a mistake, but this guy doesn't duplicate mistakes. He's not repeating the mistake. And so he was catching up to the speed of the professional game very, very quickly. And I think that's why you saw him have some of the success that he had. But also, you kind of called him out. We had him on the podcast before, and that's Michael Walker. You know, you look at somebody who was a late round pick who said, hey, I am going to show you that I'm worth this pick and then some with what I did on the field. And he was called out by, I believe it was Pro Football Focus. He was called out for the play that he brought to the field. So you're looking to see which of those guys is going to be that guy for you this year. So even last year when you had pretty much everything full on virtual, there were still players that still showed you during rookie camp and as off-season activities continued to
All
evolve.
that. Yeah.
Yep, they started showing exactly who they were, and then you started seeing as the season went on who was really, really able to kind of grasp the concepts and really say, "Okay, I'm about to own this."
Yeah, because it's I think it's levels to all of this, right? You have your
Yes,
guys
yeah,
that come in rookie camp. They may shine during rookie camp. Like, okay,
yep,
cool. And then coaches get an idea about that player, and
right.
then the
Who's your boy
expectation.
Jarvis? Who was that person? Was that Brian Hill, but everybody used to call him Training Camp Brian, or who was the guy?
You talking about? It probably was Brian Hill. Brian
Yeah,
Hill. I call him a practice monster. He's
yep,
gonna look amazing
exactly. They
in
used to
practice.
call him Training Camp
I,
Brian,
like,
practice
yeah,
monster
yeah,
Brian.
yeah. I
Yeah,
always say it, like, if Brian Hill played exactly like he did in practice, oh my God, this dude would be a Pro
right.
Bowler. He'd still be
Yeah,
on this squad. But
yeah.
a lot
Until
of
and
times it doesn't
finally,
transfer. That's why I say it's
yeah,
levels to it.
yep.
You can show your way, show yourself. You can prove yourself in rookie camp. Okay, okay,
Hmm.
cool. OTA is cool, looking the same. Oh my God, this dude's starting to really show us some things. Then you move on to training camp. All right, when the vets and everybody else get in there and all, they put the
Hmm.
pads on, exhibition, preseason, all that stuff. Okay, still I started to see the same player. All right, said player, what you gonna do once you started playing against other people? People who really don't necessarily, may or may not know that you're going to be going hard on this particular play, because that does
Hmm.
happen. I
Yeah,
know you guys are professionals, but hey, they're football players at the end of the day.
yeah.
And on every level,
They're
it happens.
competitors.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So once you get into game mode and regular season game mode, there's another level to it that you got to take it up another notch. And
Hmm.
there were times where Brian Hill did not necessarily do that. That's why he's no
Right.
longer on this team, because
Yes.
I think that's probably one of the biggest question marks outside of offensive line, is from a positional standpoint, is running back.
Yes.
I like Mike Davis. I know what Mike Davis brings to the table.
Hmm.
Can he be that number one guy? And
Right.
position coach is saying, hey, this is the open competition. It's open.
Hmm.
Like, Cordero Patterson, is he going to be the starter? Like, that's a
Right.
possibility. I
Hmm.
can't rule that out, because there's
Yeah,
no
because
set
they
number
haven't
one
ruled it
guy.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they haven't ruled it out. So if they haven't ruled it out, I'm not going to rule it out. I know what's more than likely going to happen. It's probably going to be Mike Davis, but you
Hmm.
never know what could happen. So
Yeah.
I think that all of these things, as far as from rookie camp, mandatory, non-mandatory,
Hmm.
practice, workouts, all of this stuff, all of it's going to matter, because, like I said, you have a first-year regime and Arthur Smith, Terry Fontenot as the head guy, general manager. You want to see what that product looks like. You want to see
Yeah.
what they saw, because if we come out of these rookie camps and you
Hmm.
like, dang, Kyle Pitts, oh man, what's going on with him? Like, he didn't do
Right.
anything out there. Like, what's going on? Like, or you want to see what they saw and say,
Hmm.
okay, I understand why this guy was drafted with no fourth overall pick, and he's the highest drafted tight end in the college
Ever.
draft era. So that's what brings the excitement. And like I said, I'm ready to try to definitely get the ball rolling as far as when the season coming up. Oh yeah, we got a little comment coming from not a little comment, big comment coming in from my guy AJ on Twitter. He said, "Hello, Jarvis and Tenitra. Hope you are both having a
Hey,
wonderful day. We're having a wonderful day because you're watching, and we're having a wonderful
absolutely.
day because we're doing the Fill in the Blanks podcast. So, what else would
There
we
it
be doing
is.
at this point right now, anyway, T?
Right, we're talking about the Hawks that won a game last night and about to
Yes.
go to the postseason. The Braves who look like they got their swagger back, and the Falcons who are about to tee up off-season activities en route to a 2021 season that is going to be quite interesting. What else is there? And Joseph Martinez scored a goal a couple days ago.
Yeah,
Man,
first goal
life's
since he's
grand.
been back, man.
Yeah,
Come on now.
yeah. And
What else is
even
there to
though
worry
we're going
about?
to end the conversation on an interesting note that's not necessarily, I'm gonna let Jarvis have this, but I'm sure Jarvis and I are still gonna find a way to end on a positive note. But yeah,
Yeah, we'll find a way.
I gotta
I'll
hear this
throw it
Tim
back to
Tebow.
you.
So look, right, I'm gonna let you have all the Tim Tebow energy
Oh my
that
God.
you want to have. That's all you.
So you know what? Like, here's one of the things that I've really kind of like really boiled my brownies when I came across the story, everybody started. You know how you see a story trending or somebody's name or a phrase trending on Twitter. I'm like, oh, let me
Right.
click on
And
see
then
what's
you go
going on.
click
And then
on
I go
it.
click on this thing, man. It says Tim Tebow is in talks with a contract, or to be able to sign with the Jaguars. I was like, what?
What?
What? What? What are we doing
What
here?
is this? Right.
T, 8 years. This dude hasn't played a game in 8 years. Oh,
Right.
but yeah, I already know what people start saying. Yeah, Alden Smith didn't play in 4 years. But Alden Smith was the best. He was a top
Yes.
5
Like the
defensive
best.
end
Yes.
and
In the
pass rusher in
league.
his time, in his peak. When he
Yes.
was on the field, he was top 5, maybe
Yes.
top 3, if
3.
I
You could
if I
argue that.
recall.
Yes. You
This
could
dude
argue
was
top
a
3.
double-digit sack guy. Now
Yeah.
you have a guy who was a bum of a quarterback. Let's be real. He was a bum of a quarterback. Now he's going to switch positions and play tight end, a position he's never played before. And you're going to
Right.
give him an invite to camp or
Yeah.
give him a contract. I am tripping off this, T, because I've said this from the get-go. When the Jacksonville Jaguars hired Urban Meyer, I was like, oh my God, look at this dog opponent show that's what's about to go down now. And the first move he makes, he goes hires the most racist trainer
Yes.
dude ever. The most controversial strength and conditioning coach ever, probably from Iowa, and think that's not a problem. Oh well, oh yeah, he's fired, gone. That's the first chapter in this book that I'm about to write for you real quick, T. And
Mhm.
the book of this is from the book of Urban Meyer will be fired in 2 years. And then he goes to go sign Tim Tebow,
Yeah.
who, if I don't know if you all know this, he only got 3 years, right? Where he get the lifetime, he vested, fully vested. It's 3 years and three games. He has 3 years.
Mhm.
So you mean tell me, if Tim Tebow gets three
Yeah.
games,
Tim Tebow.
so he can get this be fully vested,
Yeah.
I have a wholehearted issue, and I think Urban Meyer should be fired. He should be fired for something like doing stuff like this, doing people
Yeah.
favors out in the public like this. He did that
Yeah.
dude a favor trying to give him a job, and he knew what came with that, and he didn't think it was going to be a problem. He's trying to run this
Mhm.
crap like he does in those small college towns. This ain't no small college
Mhm.
town deal, my dude. I
Yeah.
understand Jacksonville is not the biggest market in the world, but guess what?
But
The NF it's part of the NFL, and the NFL is national. That means you're gonna have national writers who don't give a crap about you threatening to revoke their credential. They don't care nothing about that. You're not
yeah.
going to do that, by the way. And that
Right.
does happen in those small college towns
Mhm.
too, for people who want to question that. So my whole thing is that I think I didn't think the book was going to start to get written this quickly. Like you said, he's in the second chapter already of how I
Right.
got fired from an NFL head coach in 2 years. He's in the second chapter, and I think once the game started being played, we're really going to see that Urban Meyer is not that guy. Not for the
No.
NFL. Now, I'm
No.
not discrediting what he did in college. Not at all. But how you run things in college it has to be different. It has to be different. The
Yeah.
greatest college coach of all time that I've seen, and Nick Saban, he failed tremendously in the
Yeah.
NFL. So
Yeah.
don't sit up here and act like all of that is going to transfer. So yeah,
Yeah.
chapter two
It's a rare.
down. Yeah, chapter 2 down for you, Urban Meyer, and,
Yeah.
and, and good luck to you, man, because it don't look good right now.
No. There's only one coach comes to mind for me in my lifetime who was able to figure it out. And let's just be honest, it took him a couple iterations to figure it out. It took Pete Carroll a
Yes.
minute to figure it
Yeah.
out. So that is not easy. You've seen far more former college football head coaches who did not figure it out and it did not translate to the pro level than you have seen success stories. And everything that Urban Meyer has done from the day he was announced as the head coach for the Jaguars has just looked
All
like
bad.
a
It's been bad.
recipe for a
Yeah.
recipe for disaster. Like, no, this is not you. Not to say that you weren't a great coach, but I mean, Nick Saban was a, and when I say was, meaning was a genius when he was going into that job with the Dolphins. He
Yeah.
was a genius going in, and you see how that worked out. And he
Yeah.
came back and he's still a genius, but just what he brings to the table seems to work more effectively at the collegiate level. And I put far more stock into his genius, so to speak, than I would Urban Meyer's, especially Urban Meyer's moves so far.
he's just questionable
at the
all
helm.
around. Just from a
Yeah.
character standpoint, it
Character,
just
I was about to say,
try to
and yeah, if
play
we
this
right, I
dumbfounded,
can't
I
even
don't
get into
know
off
types
the
of.
field.
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just it's too much.
yeah,
But you
man,
know
forget
what? Yeah,
that, man.
yeah. Have that all those problems. You kind of hate it for someone like a Trevor Lawrence because
Yes,
you hope
he's such
that
a
his
great
first
player.
couple of years in
Yeah.
this league are not squandered. You hope that Travis Etienne's first couple of years in this league are not squandered under, that head coach, so to speak. But
See, let me say this. I guarantee you that Urban Meyer will not be around for when they have to figure out whether or not to pick up the fifth-year option on
oh
Trevor
yeah,
Lawrence.
yeah,
I
agreed,
guarantee he will
agreed.
have
No,
another head
no,
coach by then.
no,
Guarantee.
yeah, yeah. I
Guarantee.
just don't. Yeah, I just hate to see him even have to potentially squander his first 2 years in this
Right.
league.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't want
you
that.
hate that
Yeah.
even for him, but it's like, boy, Godspeed to him and that entire team that he survives those first 2 years.
It's gonna
So,
be a
but
clusterfuffle.
it is, it really, really is, and all I can say
Go ahead
is,
and say
hey,
it. I'm cool with it.
all you Falcons fans, just be happy. Just be happy that you don't have that type of situation in Flowery Branch. You do not have that situation in Flowery Branch. You're building something. It may take a minute for it to flesh itself out, so be patient, but you've got some good building blocks in Flowery Branch, starting with your head coach and his entire staff. So that's not the situation you Falcons fans find yourselves in. It's just a matter of you guys being patient to let the process work itself out and see what a Terry Fontenot and an Arthur Smith regime can look like. You want more of this? Gotta check us out on a Saturday at 6 o'clock on the show over at 92.9 The Game. We're going to bring all this. We bring the culture too, because of course we had to talk about our SWV and Escape versus last weekend. Thought that went pretty darn well. It did not disappoint. It did not disappoint.
Yeah, those girls can sing. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, bad girls. So yeah, come and check us out on Saturday at 6 on the show on 92.9 The Game. But in the meantime, you can always follow us all across the social media platforms at Tenitra Batiste, at Jarvis D90, at fill in the blanks, or at _fill in the blanks. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Jarvis has us on a gazillion different platforms in case you miss us today, or in case you just love looking.
It'll list all of them.
It'll just list them all. Exactly. And in case you just missed us or you just want to see us again, hey, we'll be out there for you. All right, Jarvis, wrap the folks up with something other than Tim Tebow to walk us out of this joint.
Hey y'all, Mother's Day just passed, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the mother, not my mother, but the mother that lives in my household. I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife, Tanae. She is a wonderful mother. She is a wonderful woman, and she does so much to make sure that our household does not fall apart. Because if it were probably left up to me solely, it probably would fall apart. So if my mother is no longer here, I don't know if you guys know that, but if your mother is here, cherish her. Always look up to her. Always let her know how valued she is. And even if you haven't spoken with her in a long time, go ahead and make up with her, because you're gonna regret that day if she leaves this earth, because you only get one.
You only get one. And for all of those mothers who were kind of like the surrogate mothers, the godmothers, the auntie mothers, want to give you guys a shout out as well, because you certainly are, the support systems, if you will. And we appreciate all that you do. And listen, Jarvis, I am without my contacts today, so I'm going to rely on you. I see we got a couple comments there. Anybody we need to shout out and kind of highlight before we wrap up?
AJ been sticking with us since he came in. So yeah, we definitely want to, he said, thank you for both for getting us through the day. Thank you all for helping us get you all through the day. And by watching and supporting it like you always have. So we definitely appreciate y'all for that.
Appreciate you. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day. And we will see you. We'll talk to you on Saturday, and then we'll see you next Tuesday. Same time, same bad channel.